Recent violent events across the Cape Fear are focusing new attention on gangs and their impact on how we live.
That violence hit home for the family that founded Wilmington's True Colors Brewery, the business that recruits and trains gang members to be a positive influence and employs them at competitive salaries. The CEO sat down with me for a candid interview to clear the air and clarify the mission moving forward. The call that first confirmed a triple shooting at this home in Wilmington's Providence neighborhood, where gang member Cordrese Tyson had been a guest of the owner, George Taylor III, a key player at True Colors Brewery.
Been a shooting at my son's house, so I of course got in the car and went straight over there.
Taylor's father, also named George, says word spreads quickly on the street, and after he got a call about the shootings, he was with his son within the hour, worried he might be hurt or worse.
When I got there, I saw him. By this point, he was in the sheriff's car, and so I knew he was okay at that point.
What he'd learned later is that True Colors employee Corey Tyson and 21-year-old Brianna Williams were killed there, and another young woman was wounded but survived. His son was questioned and released. Taylor believes during the search for suspects, rumors, innuendos, and falsehoods started circulating.
There's just so many crazy stories out there from, whether my son is a criminal or a coward or a killer, frankly. And, it's just, those are crazy, statements to be made.
Taylor says his son leads the True Colors Street Team, which works to stop violence before it happens in some of the city's roughest neighborhoods. Sometimes in the wee hours of the morning, so law enforcement won't have to deal with the aftermath.
And I think that's the misconception that maybe some folks had, is that, because of that, he must be involved in something illegal or wrong. No, he is only out there because he's trying to prevent somebody from getting hurt.
The one with the conical bottom, those are the fermentation tank.
One of the top brewers at True Colors is a gang member called Press. He knew Corey and feels the loss now that he's gone.
That was a good friend of mine. It's like he's in a different gang than me, but I was one of the very few people who could walk into his way and they know, hold on, this is a guy from another gang, but it's like there's mutual respect.
And it's a sentiment you hear throughout the company. The chief people officer says Corey was more than a team member, and she took his death hard.
It broke me a little bit because he was a friend. This is a life incident that happened that hurts, and navigating through it is challenging. But Corey wouldn't want me or anyone else to stop. He would want us to keep going.
And they are still going. Now that 3 validated gang members have been arrested in connection with the shooting deaths, the True Colors team says it's focusing more than ever on its core mission to keep the streets safe, one day, one night at a time. There is one thing that will change, though. The Taylor family will end its long practice of having gang members living in their houses.
Anything people want to get angry at me or my family or True Colors about, that would be it, because that was a mistake, and it was a very big mistake. We will not be doing that again. That's the only change we're making, because what we do works.
And what works is the core of what they're crafting here, breaking barriers in order to brew beer. Rivals, uniting. But the process isn't always easy. More on that tomorrow. And tomorrow on Good Morning Carolina, we look at the onboarding process there, where rival gang members confront the root problems that divide them. You'll see how these men learn to peacefully compromise, but not before some heated exchanges happen in the classroom. And the CEO told me that, fists can fly because you're talking about rival gang members, and sometimes they have very personal vendettas against each other, but they learn to work together.
Really good to see how he's opening up, and also the young man, Press, to see how he's funneling his energy and talent into something very productive.
And wait till you see what he says tomorrow. It's very inspiring.
Can't wait. As the community focuses on reducing gun violence, one local business has been working behind the scenes to stop the bullets before they start flying. It's called True Colors, and it employs more than 60 active gang members. And active is actually the point there. Some law enforcers say the company should actually require that employees renounce their gang affiliation, but that's the opposite of the True Colors business model. Here's a look inside the facility, which hopes to become the biggest independent brewery in the state.
We come from a place where a lot of people don't make it out.
And that's what the area's newest brewery wants to change. True Colors hires active gang members, rivals, hoping to break the chain of street violence using a new approach, starting with something called Disrupt You.
It's overall 5 months, but the boot camp kicks off with 8 weeks, of life skills, social skills, business skills, and beer.
The chief people officer says early on the company realized some team members didn't have the confidence to apply the business skills they were learning. So they scrapped the syllabus and started building self-esteem, but not before breaking some barriers. CEO George Taylor says the onboarding process involves dealing with trauma, and the way they do it is straight up, in your face.
We do it by taking rivals, and if you and I don't really like each other, guess who you're going to be sitting next to, and guess who your partner's going to be going forward.
Taylor says within a few weeks they learned to work together. Men who were once at risk, and now, he says, who aren't.
I want to ask you some questions.
Employees like Ant, an active blood member. He spent half his life in the justice system before realizing he wanted a better life and got a job here after he was released. He knew he was on the right track, but something horrific happened a few months after he signed on.
Well, I was just out hanging with some friends, and like you said, wrong place, wrong time. A drive-by occurred, and I got shot 5 times.
From his hospital bed, he told friends and family he wanted no payback.
My thing was I don't want anybody risking their life for freedom trying to retaliate for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm laid up in the hospital. I don't need you in jail or dead because it's something that happened to me. You know?
Ant now supports his family on the salary he earns as true community manager, in charge of the overall culture here. That culture also includes workouts and nutrition classes, yoga for stress management, discounted meals, and on-the-job training.
And yeast actually does most of the work. Yeast is the way it actually turns that sugar water, what we call water, into alcohol.
Press, also active blood member, didn't study high school chemistry, but has learned so much about the nuances of beer, he's running the brewing operation, responsible for a product that could reach millions. When you were coming up in your neighborhood, was this something that you ever imagined for yourself, a job like this and the responsibility like this?
I mean, it was always like a dream. It was something that I felt like I always wanted, but just never had the opportunity to do it. I mean, we don't see too many opportunities or too many people in positions like this growing up where I come from.
And that's the point the CEO hopes to drive home. To decrease violence, we have to increase options.
Instead of gangs being the driver of violence, violence is driven by lack of economic opportunity and societal exclusion.
We had to hustle. We had to survive.
True Colors, fighting to inspire true change for the community and hoping to spread the concept to other cities across the country. And brewers at True Colors tell me they hope to have the beer in stores across North Carolina within the next few months. And guess what? They also have partnerships in place for national distribution after that. And as for calls from law enforcement and some within the community for employees to end their gang affiliation, True Colors tells us it has no plans to do that.
And we're also learning CEO George Taylor reached out to city leaders with an open letter published in the Business Journal. He says his company is willing to be part of talks to help reduce gun violence in Wilmington. Great story, great reporting. I really like the part where he talks about you got to give folks opportunities, and the societal isolation is a big key of this.
He does talk about that, and he says it's very difficult for people who have not grown up in those kinds of environments to understand. You have to break those chains and some of it starts with self-esteem, looking people in the eye, and they learn incredible business skills there. And it's something that they're hoping to franchise across the country. They've already been contacted about that.